Hello and welcome back to my craft room. Today I am doing another pattern review. We are going to do the 4987 Butterick, and I'm going to do view A, but I'm going to make quite a few adjustments. I'm going to make it with a knit fabric and I'm going to crop it. That's it, really. It's actually not that bad. Oh, by the way, we're in a different spot in my room because I'm feeling a bit chaotic today, so there it is, that's what it is. But if you would like to follow me in making this pattern, it should be pretty quick. It says Fashion Express 2-hour pattern, and I already have it cut out, so let's go. So I said in my first video of describing the patterns that I want to do, obviously this was one of them. But I also mentioned the fact that I'm really into the 70s vibe with the colors and the style. So for the fabric, I'm going to use this knit. So it's from a website called Fab Scrap. And what they do is they collect extra fabrics from other wholesale designers or fashion makers. So this was some of the extra fabric from some random clothing design company or line or whatever, but it's kind of cool because you could pretty much go on there every day and they would have something different. So the day that I got this, also got this black and white knit. I got this too. Oh, you can't really see it, but it's black and white hearts. Anyway, I'm still trying to figure out what I want to make out of this. But I figure this will definitely satisfy my need for 70s style top. And the stretch goes this way, so I'm thinking probably vertical. But yeah, that should be fine. I'm pretty sure this will match with a pair of wide-legged trousers that I have that are an ochre sort of yellow. So yeah, I'm gonna get this cut out and I'll check back in at some point. Okay, so let me just explain what I've got going on here. I have marked 4 inches beneath the waistline, and that is because since I'm going to be cropping it, I did this on both the front and the back. You can see the orange line here. Since I'm going to be cropping it, I don't need all this extra length on the bottom, and I chose 4 inches just because I want to make sure that it's not going to be too short and that I'm going to have enough to make a hem at the end anyway, and then if I need to trim a little off the bottom, that's fine. I'd rather have extra than have it be too short. Okay, so I have the front, the back, the straps, and the front and back facings ready to go. The first step is to do the darts on the front piece. And those darts, they're right here. Doop doop darts. So I'm going to sew those, and then the second step is to sew the side of the front and the side of the back together. I think I'll pick you and you. First item of business is sewing the darts. I'm using a stretch stitch for this. Honestly, it's not my favorite stitch, but I keep feeling like I need to give it another try, so here we go. The thing I don't really like about it is that it's so difficult to undo once it's done. So if you sew a seam wrong, you're pretty much screwed because you end up ruining your fabric just trying to take out the stitches, which is not fun. Okay, let me fill you in. I just had the greatest idea that instead of having one strap on each side, I could put 2 straps and then tie them, and it'll be really cute and adjustable. I did have that thought hold on. My bad, I forgot to put my microphone on. Sorry if that sounded like crap. But basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put 2 ties on either side. That way I can just tie it up on the shoulder rather than having to deal with adjusting the strap and making sure that it fits. So I'm just quick making 2 more straps so I can do that really fast. What I thought to do earlier, if I really wanted to, was to just make the straps adjustable by adding, you know, like the slider and the little circle thing, but I don't have the equipment for that right now, and I don't feel like going to the store to buy it. But it would have been really easy, just like some ribbon and then those little clear circle things and the plastic sliders, and then all you have to do is put like a small bit on the back, you know. I'm really bad at explaining stuff like this, so why don't I just stop. Safety pin, and then I put it on right about here. I like to go down a little ways just because I've had it where I've been like I would pull on it and then the threads would come out and then I'd have to start over. So I put mine down like a 1/2 inch just so that it doesn't, like, the safety pin doesn't pull straight through the fabric or anything. And then you put it inside the tube and you just go bloop, bloop, bloop. The beginning is always the hardest. There we go. Done. So fast and easy. Okay, so I have the front and back sewn together. Here's the front and the back. It's looking so cute. And then I also made the straps. I suppose I can show you what I'm doing while I do it. So what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to pin the straps on the back part here, you know, where the straps would be going, we're here. And they want you to put the seam towards like the armpit. I always thought they wanted the seam on like the inside, not the outside, but I guess I was wrong. And you know what, honestly, I think I'm just gonna tack these in place because I don't really want to have to screw around with pins. Chaotic energy today. Now I'm gonna put the 2 straps that I just made and I'm gonna stitch them to the front. My top thread keeps getting stuck in the bobbin area and then when I pull it out it's like super long. And I sewed together the front and back facing because the next step is going to be actually putting the facing on the top part. Now for the boring part, which is pinning pinning the facing on. So I'm going to do that, sew the facing on, and then I'll come back. Okay, day 2. I just took a shower, don't mind me. Yesterday I added the straps in and put in the front and back facing, and yes, this is the front. Okay, so it looks really cute and the ties I love. Oops, sorry. But when I put it on, I don't know if you can notice, but like the facing is kind of peeking out still. I did understitch it, as you can see right here. It's not focusing. Anyway, this little orange line right here. So I understitched it, but it still wants to peek out, and I think that's really just because I didn't, I think it's really just because I didn't put interfacing on the facing like I should have, mostly because I don't think that this is made out of an ironable fabric, and I didn't really want to melt it. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm just going to top stitch around the entire top anyway, and then I'm also going to stitch the facing down at the side seams, like kind of a stitch in the ditch thing, so that it stays down as well. But after that I just need to hem it and it'll be done. Okay, so top stitching didn't really work very well. It just ended up stretching out a little bit more, so now it's just kind of curling forward in the front and in the back. You can see that. So I think what I'm gonna do is cut all of that off and use the elastic technique. If you are not familiar with the elastic technique, I will link a video down below. It's a With Wendy video and she kind of explains it. But basically you are taking elastic and you're like, for me specifically, I'm gonna sew it along the neckline and stretch it at the same time so that the elastic kind of takes away that extra puckering that happens when you're stitching on a knit. And then what you do is you fold it over once or twice to hide the elastic on the inside, and then you just top stitch while you stretch and sew at the same time, and then it really helps to keep the shape of the neckline and also gives it a bit more stability so that it doesn't stretch out like this. So what I'm gonna do is just cut the facing off completely and the straps and everything, do the elastic trick, and then put the straps back in, and hopefully then I'll be done. It's always tricky working with knits, man. Okay, here it is. Boop, 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 boop. It ended up turning out pretty good. With the neckline and stuff, I did put the elastic in, but it still kind of like pokes, it like rolls forward, which is fine. At least it's like keeping its shape and it's not too gapey at all. I wonder if maybe I should have stretched the elastic tighter or maybe used wider elastic. I'm not sure. But either way, it looks fine to me now. And then I just did kind of like, I did like a 1-inch hem, double folded and zigzagged on the bottom. And yeah, I like it. It's a good length. I think it hits literally like just above my hips. My actual hip, not my widest point hip. But yep, I think this will look really great with some jeans and like a sweater. And I could even wear something underneath it, you know, like a turtleneck or something, or just a t-shirt or whatever. So yes, I'm happy with it. I probably will use a better knit next time. This is kind of more of like the traditional sweater knit, but if I were to make, you know, like another tank top out of it, I'd want something a little bit more tighter weave just so that I don't have as many troubles. I even broke a needle, which was probably my fault. I was using a smaller size than I probably should have been when I was working with the elastic, but that's okay. I definitely will make this more with woven fabrics, but I do want to get like a nice tank top pattern that's pretty close to this, probably a little tighter. I did the extra large size for both tops, and with the woven one it turned out good, like it fit, but kind of just barely fitting, you know. So with that one I'll probably extend the bust around the bust a little bit and make like an XXL and crop that as well, and then this I'll probably size it down and do maybe like a large or even a medium depending on how stretchy it is. But overall I like the pattern. If I wasn't filming, it would take me probably about 2 hours to make, maybe even less, because there's 5 pieces to work with, 5 pattern pieces, and if you're using a knit you probably don't even need the facings, so that's really cool. And yeah, I'm gonna take a minute and make some notes, and then I'll be back with my official review with my 3, technically 4 criteria, so stay tuned. Okay, so it is time for the review. Here's the pattern that I did. Butterick 4987, and I did view A here, this one, and I didn't put the, whatever that's supposed to be, a tie or something. I didn't put that on there. So my review, let's see. First category, ease of use. I gave that an 8 out of 10. The directions were easy to follow once I was able to locate them, but because the pattern is so similar across the different views, the directions definitely skip around a lot. So you kind of have to search for the ones that specifically say the view. View A in particular is the one I was working on, so I had to read the directions first, figure out where all of my directions were in the big pieces of paper that come with the pattern, and then start on my project. Category number 2, garment construction. That one I gave a 9 out of 10. Overall, I am very happy with the garment construction. The only thing I would change in the future would be to add an adjustable strap with the plastic rings and sliders. I think it would just be easier overall to do that rather than to try it on every single time and be like, okay, well, here's where the strap should go, here's how long it needs to be, blah, blah, blah. With the view that I did, I put in 2 long strips of fabric so that I could tie it at the shoulder instead of making it into a traditional strap, and that kind of made the thing adjustable without having to use the plastic rings and sliders. So if you don't have that or aren't able to get it or whatever, no big deal, you could just do the ties, or you could do how it says in the directions and just sew the straps into the facing like it says in the directions. Okay, the third category is accessibility, and for that one I gave it a 10 out of 10. The only thing besides the fabric is fusible interfacing, and that's all you need for this pattern. You don't need anything special. It doesn't take a whole lot of fabric. If you do view A, if you do view E, this one is cut on the bias, so you would need a little bit more fabric than if you were to do view A, but overall I used like maybe a half a yard, 3/4 at the most, and that was it. And finally, the skill level. I would absolutely rate this a beginner pattern. You learn how to apply interfacing. You can also learn how to cut on the bias if you do the view E that I mentioned earlier. You also learn how to sew in darts, how to work with facings and installing straps underneath the facings and wrapping your head around what order they need to go in order for it to look right. All of these techniques are great for beginner sewers, and mastering them will help you later on in your sewing journey. The project itself did not take very long either. It took me maybe an hour, hour and a half at the most. It did take me longer because I was filming it specifically, but if I were just doing it on my own, I could whip it out in an hour easy. So there's that for my review. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you didn't get too annoyed by the chaotic energy of the video or by the different backgrounds. I've been moving things around a little bit in my sewing room and having some changes going on, so I hope that's okay. This is probably where I'm going to be doing my reviews from now on, so I'll try and get something up on the walls here, but I hope you enjoyed the tutorial and the review, and come back next time for another one. Bye! I look like an old lady.